your estate to real estate, it's Money Matters with Dino.
I think it's our nature, especially if we've been somewhat healthy, to think, we're going to be just fine. We'll handle it. We'll this, we'll that. But as you start getting older, things happen, and they're beyond your control. And then it gets to a point where even your spouse can't quite, like, let's say one of you slips and falls or has a stroke or something, starts losing their mind. The spouse is getting older too, can't necessarily help pick them up if they fall, can't help clean them all the time. And the whole thing about not wanting to become a burden for your children is such a strong desire that I see with that generation. But what I hope that they realize is that if they don't do certain things, they're going to become a bigger burden to their children.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely. And Dino, that, again, that's a statement or a subject that we could go so deep with. Less than 3% of the United States population have made any type of preparations, put anything in place to guard against what we call senior care events. And that would be known mostly as like long-term care, or if they have sufficient assets that they could provide for their own care if they don't have a long-term care insurance. So we're not here to sell long-term care, but that condition that you're pointing at is a huge threat to older people in our country. Yeah. And one of the things that Renee and I are very passionate about is to connect and educate financial advisors and wealth managers, because what that community is usually doing is working very hard to maintain, let's say, a portfolio, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, right, for their clients. And one of the things that they really are not looking or paying attention to sometimes is what we call a senior event, where there's a disease, there's an accident, Alzheimer's, dementia, any number of things that can impinge upon the really the assets of the senior. And also what you pointed out was very accurate, that if a senior couple doesn't have the financial ability to defend themselves or to provide for the costs of care, that can wash over into their family and their children. And if their children's portfolios actually can be liable or vulnerable to that situation. So those are really some of the ancillary conditions that a reverse mortgage can be put in place to defend against. If you're past 60 years old, the premiums for long-term care insurance go up substantially. And also, if somebody has had some health issues, they may not be able to even qualify for long-term care if they can afford it. And that's one of the ways that we say put a reverse mortgage in place just as a line of credit and have that established as one of the defenses against the senior care event.